Denise Black was the manager of a bustling coffee shop in downtown New York City. She had worked her way up the ranks over the years, known for her sharp eye for detail and her unwavering approach to rules. However, underneath her success, Denise harbored a deep-seated prejudice. She looked at her employees through a biased lens, especially when it came to Black employees. She never outwardly displayed racism, but her actions spoke louder than her words. Promotions for Black employees were rare, and she often gave them the most strenuous shifts. One such employee was Marcus Thompson, a quiet but hardworking young man. Marcus had worked at the coffee shop for over a year. He was polite, efficient, and always kept his head down, focusing on the job at hand. Denise, despite his strong work ethic, had made it clear to the other managers that she didn't have high expectations for him, often assigning him to the back of the shop where he was out of sight and out of mind. One morning, Denise was behind the counter when Marcus came in for his shift. He was running late, his subway had been delayed, but he apologized and quickly got to work, preparing orders and keeping the line moving. However, Denise couldn't resist. In front of a few regular customers, she snapped at Marcus for being late, giving him a glare that made him uncomfortable. "Just get to work, Marcus," she muttered dismissively, "and try to keep things in order for once." Despite the sting, Marcus kept his composure. It wasn't the first time Denise had treated him with such disrespect, but it hurt nonetheless. What Denise didn't know was that Marcus was determined. He had always been determined to rise above the small-minded judgments that were cast upon him. Days passed, and Denise's treatment continued. However, there was something Marcus had never shared with anyone, something that Denise would never have guessed. Marcus had been accepted into a prestigious management training program at one of the top coffee chains in the country. He had been offered the job, but he hadn't yet told anyone, waiting for the right moment. That moment came sooner than expected. One afternoon, the corporate office called the coffee shop, requesting to speak to Denise. They informed her that there would be a surprise audit the next morning, and that the audit would be conducted by none other than Marcus himself. Denise was taken aback. How could this be? Marcus, the quiet barista? Surely this was some sort of mistake. The next morning, Marcus walked into the coffee shop in a sharp suit, carrying a briefcase, his professional demeanor a stark contrast to the casual uniform he once wore. He introduced himself to Denise, who stood frozen for a moment, unsure of what to say. "I'll be conducting the audit today," Marcus stated calmly. "I'll need full access to the records, inventory, and staffing reports." Denise's face turned pale as the realization hit her like a ton of bricks. This was the same Marcus who she had dismissed so easily, the same Marcus she had been so quick to belittle. But now, standing before her in his new role, she saw him in a completely different light. As Marcus walked through the coffee shop, inspecting everything with a keen eye, Denise's mind raced. She thought back to all the times she had undermined him, the snide comments she'd made. She had been blind to his potential, blinded by her own prejudices. She was ashamed. After the audit was complete, Marcus called Denise into his office. The tension between them was palpable. Denise sat, waiting for the reprimands, the harsh feedback, but instead Marcus surprised her. "I've reviewed everything," he said quietly, "and had a lot of suggestions for improvement. But before we get into that, I want to tell you something." Denise looked up, confused. "You know," Marcus continued, "I wasn't just some kid in a coffee shop. I've been working on a degree in business management for years. I was offered a promotion months ago, and I chose to stay here. Not because I wanted to be stuck, but because I wanted to prove something to myself and to people like you." Denise's face flushed with guilt. She hadn't known. She hadn't cared to know. Marcus leaned forward, his voice steady but firm. "I'm not angry with you, Denise. You didn't know what I was capable of, but you treated me like I didn't matter anyway. That's something you need to think about." For the first time in their interactions, Denise saw the depth of Marcus's strength and resilience. She had judged him too harshly, dismissed him because of her biases, and now she was paying the price. But it wasn't just about the job, it was about her growth as a person. From that day forward, things began to change at the coffee shop. Denise's attitude toward Marcus shifted. She offered him more responsibility, listened to his ideas, and encouraged him to use his talents. It wasn't easy for her. Old habits die hard. But she knew she had to grow, not just as a manager, but as a human being. Marcus accepted the new challenges, but he never forgot what had happened. He understood that change was a slow process, and not just for people like Denise. It was a process for the entire world. The truth had come to light. And while Denise would always carry the weight of her past mistakes, she knew that it was never too late to make things right.